Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is Slendermancer TCG, and for today's video, what we're going to be doing is going over the new TCG exclusive archetype they announced yesterday. So, I saw this archetype, I thought it was pretty cool, I thought Ritual's my favorite summoning mechanic, so I'm like, you know what? Let's throw it into something that I know that it'll probably work pretty well in after I read the effects, of course. And that is Ogdoadic. So first, let's look at the new monsters. Thankfully, the gracious people on DB have made them in the custom form, of course. So let's look at them one by one. First, we have Kusanagi. Soul archetype's called Mitsurugi. I will be trying to call it by the last name or a nickname. I'll tell you which one has a nickname. So we have Kusanagi, who says if he's normal or special or tributed, you can target one Mitsurugi card in your grave or banishment except for itself and add it to your hand. And if a ritual monster, if another reptile you control would be destroyed by a battle card effect, you contribute it instead. Not going to happen. It's not going to be part of your end board. And you have Saji, the starter, who says if this normal or special or tributed, you can add a Mitsurugi spell trap from your deck to your hand. If another reptile monster you control will be destroyed by a battle card effect, you contribute this card instead. That's both the monsters. Not really too impactful, but pretty neat sometimes. And then you have the first ritual, which is Murakumo. I don't really have a nickname for this one. I could just call it Orochi if I really want to, but for the sake of this, we'll call it Murakumo. So you can ritual summon this card with the ritual spell. If it is a special summon, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, non-targeting, and just unfortunately doesn't send, but you know, we take what we can get. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can activate this effect. Your opponent can discard a card or that effect is negated. It's a pseudo omni negate that your opponent can kind of choose if it is negated or not for the sacrifice of another card in their hand. Important against like Horus with making them discard another card outside of just the Imseti and stuff like that. And then him and the other ritual, which we'll get to, have the same effect where if they're tributed, you can add a Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand except for itself and then special summon it back. He says you can only use each effect once per turn, so you can't summon it multiple times in one turn, you can't negate multiple times in one turn. And then, but the other original monster we have, I nicknamed him Bowser, but his name is Futsu no Mitama. If your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can target one reptile in your grave, except for itself, and special summon it. You can only activate this effect once per chain, meaning you can use it more than once per turn, which is handy when it comes to summoning back, if you have enough extension, of course, going into Ogdo Abyss or the other ritual monster to summon it back and board wipe multiple times. He has the same effect where if he's tributed, you add another Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand, except for itself, and then you can summon it. And then there's spells. You have Prayers, which kind of works very similarly to the Rika cards, like you tribute a card to get a bonus effect. If you tribute a reptile when you activate it, you get to apply both effects in sequence. But if you don't tribute, you choose which effect to apply. So you can either add a Mitsurugi monster from your deck to your hand or take 800 damage, meaning you can lose off of this if your opponent has a burn effect during your turn and you activate this and you're kind of stuck to it. And then you can special summon one Mitsurugi monster from your hand or grave, but it cannot attack directly. Useful to kind of get to your starter or continue extending if you kind of like got impermed on your starter. It is a quick play, so it can also dodge imperm. So if you get impermed on your Sagi and you have this in hand, activate it, tribute the Sagi for cost, and add a ritual monster and special summon back the Sagi, so you still have that level 4 body. And then the ritual spell, Mitsurugi Ritual, it works just like Branded Fusion pretty much. You get to, for one of the effects, but you discard and use any ritual summon any ritual monster. You activate one of these effects, but you can only use one effect per turn. You can either ritual summon a reptile ritual monster from your deck by attributing ritual monsters from your hand or field whose total level equal that level of the ritual monster, or you can ritual summon a reptile ritual monster from your hand by attributing up to two reptile monsters from your hand, deck, or field whose total levels equal the ritual monster. So you can use this to kind of tribute 2 from deck or tribute 1, which we'll get to later in the combos that I'm going to show you, and everything like that. But really strong card. No, you can use both effects, but only both effects once, but not multiple times. You can do 1 and 1, which once again, like I said, we'll get to in the combo. You do use both in one of the combos to kind of fulfill your end board. And then the trap card that they have is Great Purification. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you tribute a level 5 or higher reptile monster. Negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Its graveyard effect is you can banish this from your grave, target a reptile in your grave, special summon it, and if you do, tribute one other monster you control. You can only use one effect per turn, and only once that turn. So you cannot, it's like Big Welcome Labyrinth, you can't summon and bounce in the same turn. You cannot negate and summon in the same turn. But if you do get like Harpy's Feather Duster and you don't really feel like using it, you could use this to reborn, for example, the Murakumo, to kind of board wipe still and still have that interruption per se. But the Ogdoadics, I think, are a perfect fit because cards like the Allier and the Cares kind of tribute to summon themselves, so they do trigger the ritual monsters and everything. And then, of course, them kind of being a snake toolbox, being able to use stuff like Snake Rain and everything, kind of helps as well. And then the extra deck is just filled with Ragnaraikas, which are the best generics for any of their real tri-types, really, except for Plant, because Plant has the aroma stuff. But for reptiles and insects, I think these are kind of like some of the greatest generic links you can run in the deck. Being able to just access all that stuff. And notice how none of this stuff really locks you either. None of this locks you into reptiles, so you can easily just make princess or anything like that after, like, through your combo, which we'll get to as well. So I have four replays to show you of combos, each kind of varying in their strengths and everything, of course. So first replay that we have here, I have just Snake Rain and one card, right? So normally with any Ogdoadic, like with the Ragnaraka version, it is kind of full combo and everything. In this deck, unfortunately, it's not really because of something we'll see later. We don't really have a full bridge like with the Reptilian. So the four reptiles you're going to send off Snake Rain are going to be Nunu, Naoya, Cares, and Allier. So it's important to get the 2 names that contribute in your graveyard early for this combo. And then what you're going to want to do is you have no monsters, so you can special summon the Nunu from your graveyard, and then you can, I accidentally clicked on the Nunu effect when it doesn't affect, you're using the effect of Cares to summon itself by tributing the Nunu. So Cares is going to summon it, then Cares on summon is going to let you summon out the Naoya, and then Naoya is going to allow you to search for the Daybreak. So here you're going to use the Daybreak to tribute and summon 4 tokens, and then you're going to use the 2 of the tokens to make the Ragnaraka Skeletal Soldier, and then you're going to use the effect of Daybreak. So Daybreak's graveyard effect lets you banish itself from the grave and target one of your banished reptiles, shuffle it into the deck, and then you send a reptile monster from your deck to the grave. So we're going to shuffle back the Nunu, and then we're going to send the Night Sword Serpent. So this has an effect when it's sent to grave by card effect. You can special summon it, banish it when it leaves the field. So we're going to summon it, but most importantly, it's a level 4. We're making King of the Fairylimbs. You love him. You know you love him. So normally if you're playing the Ragnaraka combo here, you would search the Reptilia, this Serpentine Princess, and then you would be able to kind of get to your Ragnarakas through bottom decking that with one of the Ragnarakas effects. So here what we're going to do is we're going to use that to add the Saji. So there's a reason we keep these 2 tokens up, and that's because they're both level 2, so combined with Saji, that is level 8 total because of 2 2s and a 4. So we add the ritual here, activate the ritual, tribute the tokens and Saji to summon out blue. So you can summon out blue or red in this combo, it doesn't matter too much, but you link these off into the Mantis Monk, use the Mantis Monk effect, banish the King of the Fairlimp, and I believe I banished the Night Sword Serpent here. Oh, no, I banished him. Oh yeah, because you're going to return it with Allier. My bad. And then you add the Hunting Dance, and then you can go ahead and summon Allier by tributing the Murakumo, and then Murakumo 1, Allier 2, to chain block it so you don't get Ash or anything like that. Put back the King of the Fairlimps and the Skeletal Soldier, and then summon back the Murakumo and add the Trap, and then you can go ahead and activate Skeletal Soldier, bottom deck the Allier, summon out, make your Stag Sovereign, and then you can set your 2 traps, So you have a pop 2 from Stag whenever they summon from the extra deck or the main deck. You can pop 2 monsters on the field. And then you have pop 2 from Hunting decks because you have 2 different types of their tri-types. You have the quote-unquote Omni from Murakumo, and then you have the Tribute from Great Purification. I'd have to get a ruling on this. I completely forget, but I am not entirely sure if you tribute this since it was originally summoned properly, but it was summoned back by its own effect. I don't know if it counts itself still being summoned properly to be able to be brought back again. But if it does, then you do have that interruption to kind of go even further beyond and still have another board wipe. But that's the first combo. So that's just off Snake Dance and Snake Rain and 1 card. So on to the next combo, we have just Saji and a ritual monster. So first, you're going to normal summon the Saji. Use the effect to add the ritual. Activate the ritual, send Knight, Sword, Serpent, and Nunu. As long as it's a level 4, it doesn't matter. And then you summon the Futsu. Activate Knight, Sword, Serpent since it was sent. This is another ruling thing. This combo does not work if the ruling is that he cannot summon because it was tributed. But I'm fairly certain it still triggers because it is technically a effect. But I'm not entirely certain. I would need a judge ruling if you are a judge. Because I am a judge, I just don't entirely know, especially when it comes to things like this, because I don't think we've seen something that tributes from deck like this before. So it is something that I would have to ask a judge, and if you are a head judge and have head judged some events, I would appreciate if you comment down below and let me know, and then we can kind of evolve and try to change this combo to see if it still works. But then from here you overlay those two into our good friend King of the Fairlamps. You'll be seeing him a lot. And then you use the effect, add the Naoya to hand, activate the Naoya to send the Cares to deck, and then you use the Cares, tribute red, tribute Bowser, I call them red and blue sometimes too, and Cares some Chainlink 1, or Bowser Chainlink 1, and then Chainlink 2 is the Cares to summon out the Naoya. And then Naoya effect to add the Daybreak. So there's another thing I thought about with this combo that you could also do. You could have added another ritual here to get into it, to make the Murakuma, if you really wanted to. But when I was making this combo, I made this all last night, right when pretty much the night these cards came out. I was theory crafting and everything like that. And of course, these aren't fully optimized combo lines. These are just what I made kind of as a little beginner guide and everything like that with the Octo Addicts and how they kind of synergize. So make sure, if you think of any combo lines as well, feel free to discuss in the comments and everything below, or just in general if you want to discuss them with your friends, because I really do think this is a cool archetype that can definitely be explored. But more with this combo line, we link those two off into the Skeletal Soldier, and then we activate the Daybreak to tribute the Cares to summon 4 tokens, because we needed that room in the main monster zone. We make the Monk, the Mantis Monk here. Use the effect of Mantis Monk, Banish Sword, and the King of the Fairlamps to add the Hunting Dance. And then we can link those two off into the coils, and then the coil, and then the token, and that to summon out the Stag. And then you can go ahead and activate Daybreak's effect, tribute, send back the Serpent, send it Aliert, and then Aliert can summon back by tributing the token. And then you can go ahead and use the Aliert effect to put 2 back. Then you can use the Skeletal Soldier to put back the Aliert to summon itself, and then you can set the Hunting Dance and the Great Purification. So you have the... Yeah, it can be either ritual, like I said. If you have enough extension, you can end with Abyss Engrave as well for a board wipe of non-graveyard summon monsters, but it's the same end board, so you have the Stag Sovereign pop for 2. This can summon back from grave. And if you have the other ritualist an Omni Negate unquote, you have a pop for 3 with Hunting Dance, and then the Negate with Purification. And like I said, depending on how it ends up being with if this can be summoned back or not, you might have another search or something like that, but I don't think it does. But I could be wrong. Of course, you never know, especially with cards and stuff like that. I haven't really ran into this encounter before personally, even in my locals or anything like that I've judged. So I'm more than happy to know. But then we have our next replay, which is going to be Saji plus Naoya or Nunu both serve the exact same purpose. So first things first, you're going to want to activate the Naoya effect to dump the Nunu from deck, and then the Nunu is going to summon itself. Then you're going to normal summon the Saji. Just make sure you do special summon the Nunu first, because it does say you have to control no monsters or if you control an Ogdoadic. So it does not work if you have a monster, even if it is reptile. So Saji, add the ritual, overlay the two, summon the King of the Fairlamps. King of the Fairlamps effect. We can go ahead and add the Karis here instead of the ritual. We're going to activate ritual, tribute the Karis to summon from deck the Murakumo. We're going to activate the Karis effect, tribute the Murakumo, and then activate Murakumo 1, Karis 2. And Murakumo is going to add another ritual. So then we're going to add the Daybreak from the Naoya. And then here we're going to link those to the Karis and the King of the Fairlamps into a Skeletal Soldier. Free up zone in the main deck, and then activate the Daybreak to summon 4 tokens again. Now we're going to use 2 of these tokens immediately to make the Mantis Monk. Use the Mantis Monk effect, banish the King of the Fairlamps and the Nunu to add the Hunting Dance, and then we're going to use Daybreak's effect in the graveyard to banish, put back the King of the Fairlamps, and dump the Night Sword Serpent, which is going to summon itself back out. And then, you didn't think we were going to do a combo without King of the Fairlamps again, did you? We're going to summon him again, and then use his effect to add any reptile. So we're going to add in Bowser to our hand. And then we're going to link those 2 tokens there off into the Skeletal Soldier again. And then we're going to link these 2 off into Promethean Princess, because none of this stuff locked you. Like I said, the only things that lock you are the Ragnarok's effects to summon themselves back. And then Princess effect, summon back out the Skeletal Soldier. Princess and Monk make Coils, because Coils is a fire monster. And then you can link the token in the Coils to make Sovereign. And then you can activate Ritual here, tribute the Alliert from deck to summon the Bowser. And then you can use Alliert's effect, tribute the Bowser, summon itself, and then Bowser effect, summon itself back out, and search the trap. So this is kind of like an end board. I've definitely evolved to making this. You could probably make it with some of the other combos, but I wasn't entirely sure and everything like that, and I did want to get this kind of out so people who are curious and kind of looking at the deck and think, I don't know entirely what to do with this, so that y'all can see. But this is a stack pop to Dance Pop 3. Bowser can summon back the Murakumo to board wipe. Trap is an Omni by tributing the Allier and everything like that. So pretty good, pretty solid end board, a lot of interaction. And then the last combo I have for you today, we have just Saji plus Coltal, which is our extender. So this is an extender you might not have seen yet. So it just requires you to control a Dark Reptile to summon it, and then if it had an additional effect, your opponent had any monsters with 0 attack, which doesn't really matter too much. It's just a level 4 body you can summon for free if you control a Dark Reptile. So first things first, summon our Saji, add the Ritual, and then we're going to activate Kotal's effect to special summon. The thing important is that it does activate, so it can get impulsed. And then you overlay into our good old friend King of the Fairlamps, activate the effect, detach, add the Mitsurugi. Activate the Ritual, tribute the Kusanagi and the Night Sword Serpent. Special summon that. And then we can activate the Night Sword Serpent and the Kusanagi. Kusanagi is going to add back Ritual. Activate the Ritual, tribute the Bowser to summon the Murakumo from deck, and then we're going to go ahead and activate Mitsurugi. We'll add activate the Bowser, sorry. Add Prayers to our hand. Activate Prayers effect, make sure you use the second one here, taking 800 damage to summon back the Kusanagi. You could also just summon back Saji, it does not matter. What matters is that you're summoning another King of the Fairlamps. So you're using the King of the Fairlamps effect, detaching to search the Naoya. Activate Naoya's effect, dumping the Karis. Link those 2 off to summon the Skeletal Soldier. And then activate Karis effect, tribute the one you have not tributed yet, the Murakumo, to summon itself out. Summon itself and the Naoya from grave after searching your trap. And then now you effect here, we notice how many reptiles we have in our grave here. So we're not searching Daybreak this time. We're going to search the Water Lily. So Water Lily, if you don't remember, sends any reptile from your deck to the grave. And then if you have 5 or more reptiles with different names in your grave, you can summon any reptile from your grave. So we're going to link those 2 off the Karis and the Skeletal Soldier to summon our Mantis Monk. And now before we use Mantis Monk's effect, because now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... we are more than safe to use our Water Lily to dump Octobus and summon out the Kotal. Then we can use the Mantis Monk, banish the King of Fairlamps, both of them, to search the Hunting Dance. And then you can link those 2 off to summon out your Coils, and then link those 2 off to summon the Stag Sovereign. So now with this on board, what we have here is a Hunting Dance pop for 2, Stag pop for 2. You can reborn, Bowser can reborn Abyss for a board wipe, Murakumo can then negate, well, Omni negate, and then you have the Trap Omni negate, and if you trap tribute the Murakumo, you can then bring it back later again with Mitsurugi for another monster board wipe once you summon this, because once again, like we said before, this is his effect to reborn is only once per chain. This is not once per turn. But that is it for the deck. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments down below on stuff you may potentially want to see. I'm really excited for this deck. I'll be definitely trying to pick it up once it does come out in Suda in next month and everything like that. And I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. And thanks again for watching.